Hello, future millionaires, and welcome back to the Get Rich Slow podcast. We are your hosts, Adrian Shermer, Rob Delavan, and Lance Johnson. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You can find us online, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, YouTube, and something called Stitcher. Today, we've got our special guest, Barry Mack with Barrymackart. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Glad to have you back. Today, we're going to speak with
good to
Barry
be here.
Mack.
Yeah.
With Barrymackart, Barry is a dynamic artist who creates art specific to your needs. And this episode's all about what Barry's got going on right now and a little bit about how he makes his art. So, Barry, let's get you started.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Good to be here. I really enjoyed our first session, and I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this. So this is episode 2 of 3.
Yeah.
So let's have some fun with this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Barry, let me kick this off. What are you inspired by most?
Yeah, these are all great questions, and I appreciate all these questions you guys came up with. I'm actually inspired by working. I love what I do. And
That's awesome. I like what I do. When you love what you do, it's not really work, right? It's fun.
No, it isn't.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It's the most inspiring thing. And if I get up and start working at 6 and I knock off at 12 at night, I'm not more tired, I'm less tired. I actually have to discipline myself to go to bed. I'm just energized by what I do. It's a cool thing. It's
So was there a journey to get to that point? Like,
yeah, there was.
Was that always the case?
No, I think that's a great question. I think I worked into it slowly. It's almost like a train, leaving the station. You build momentum, and eventually, when you do it for a while and you really love it, you build up, some real passion around it. It kind of sneaks up on you. I didn't.
Can you turn it on? Do you feel like? I feel like inspiration for me just comes. It's either there or it's not. I don't get an opportunity.
Yeah, no,
Sometimes at 2 a.m. I'm like, I got to write this down. My wife goes crazy.
Yeah, it's not a matter of turning it on. It's just when I start working, I just automatically go into flow. It's just, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about my, the job I do and the companies I run is, I'm sicker than a dog this last 10 days, but never even thought once to take a day off. It's never really like work, right? So when you're sick, you still play, unless you're like bedridden. It's the same way with me. And I love that because I never, when I'm driving in, I don't think I've ever had a thought, no matter how hard the market's gone down or somebody got hit hard, finances, I've never had a question about coming into work, which is, I guess other people do. And I've never had that feeling ever.
So let me share this. Barry, give us your thoughts. Actually, Lance and Adrian, same thing. The core stuff that I do, the people portion, the building something, more out of the sum of the parts, right? That energizes me, and I'm like, I love that portion of it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned about really a big mentor of mine has actually been Lance over the last decade, has been, in this concept, brilliant at the basics and teaching, to work smarter and, to an element harder, but also smarter. It's this concept of delegate out what doesn't put you in flow and different things like that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, man. That's a good point.
Yeah. So that's the piece. Like I want to explore for the audience before we move on is like, I'll say, yeah, I love actually my work. I don't love every aspect of my work. And generally speaking, the aspects of my work that drain me, those are the ones that I want to systematize and get off of my plate. So
that's a really good point, Rob. In fact, there's a great book out called, in fact, I forget the name of it now, but it's about only doing what you're good at and delegating the rest.
And I mean, when you say, Barry, that you go from exactly. Yeah. Fill us in on that one. At 6 a.m. till, midnight, that's your creative process, right?
Right.
But I'm sure there's things that you're, just like, okay, let's figure out how to get somebody that's really good at that to do it so that you can actually create.
No, that's true. Yeah. But the question is what inspires me the most. And that's doing the thing I love, creating.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah. And then that's the beauty of I know for a fact that Lance, Adrian, Barry, as we've got to know each other, there are huge elements of our jobs and what we do that literally fill us up. And that's a lot of fun.
Oh, I wish that for everybody. It's a wonderful thing. I wish everybody could experience it. It just pains me when I hear that people hate to go to their job.
Yeah.
I picture it like people say their battery, like a social battery too. Extroverts, introverts, some people are supercharged by being around people. Some people are supercharged by being alone. And then they feel like they're expending that energy. And I think a big part of life is just trying to find those things that make you feel more full and getting rid of those things that are draining on your human energy.
Yeah. That book is by Hendricks, and I forget the name of it. It's something like, I don't remember, but it's basically living. Oh, it's something about your genius zone. If you want to look it up. Great book.
Okay.
I'm not sure I have a genius zone, but
me neither. But I'm not. I'm pretty sure Lance has one.
No, you guys got a genius zone.
The genius zone, the breakthrough process.
Boy, my wife's been looking for it for like 30 years. She hasn't found it yet.
It's basically it's just what you love to do. That's your genius zone.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, Barry. So why are the arts relevant in today's world? It's a polarized and uncertain world. Why does it matter?
Yeah, that's a great question. And my take on it is the arts. And I want to expand the definition of arts. Okay. To my mind, sports are also part of the arts. I think great athlete,
never thought about that way.
Are also a form of art. So sports, arts, dancing, painting, poetry, whatever. It creates a sense of togetherness. It's create a sense of unity. It's a common language, if you will. It transcends political boundaries. It transcends all kinds of stuff. And a good example of this is a couple that came into the gallery the other day. You know him, and I had never met the husband before, and he came in and he saw my work, and he immediately went into like a half an hour talk about what it meant to him. I had never talked to him. He'd never read about my work, but he instantly got it. And it was what do you call it? A point of commonality, I guess. And I think the arts do this in general. Sports do it, the arts do it. And I think it's a wonderful thing. It brings people together. Now that's what I'm getting at.
Did you agree with his analysis of your art, or were there some differences there?
No, it blew me away.
That's so cool.
Absolutely blew me away. In fact, I really could hardly believe what I was hearing. And, just amazing. It's amazing that the arts communicate the way that they do. And sports do the same thing. When you're watching a great athlete, it's totally inspiring. And here's another book for you guys. I know you're into sports, but check out The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler. It is an amazing book about extreme athletes.
The Rise
of Superman. It will blow you away.
We're gonna have a book list in the notes on this one, guys.
Yeah, we are.
It is the genius zone, by the way. I pulled it up.
That's right.
We'll put that in the show notes also.
Yeah.
For disclosures. So like
Stephen Kotler.
Yeah, Kottler. Yeah. You're gonna love it. It's all about extreme athletes and the things that they do. I mean, it's the title kind of gives away The Rise of Superman. The things that these guys are doing, it's mind blowing. It's like literally superhuman what they're doing.
Interesting. And what you're saying, like whether it be sports or poetry, a physical art medium, dancing, all of the different things. And I believe that's why it was the arts was capitalized here in the question. So you're speaking the same language, right? Like it's a universal language.
Exactly.
Somebody from Japan, somebody from Italy, and somebody from Portland, Oregon can all appreciate at different levels, whatever that meaning is to them is what I'm
I mean,
hearing.
wouldn't you guys agree that sports is part of this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I wouldn't have, if you had asked me at the beginning of this, our sports and art, I think my brain would have exploded, but it makes a lot of sense.
I'm just going to have a difficult time explaining to my kids that poetry and playing hockey are one and the same.
Well, so
I want to go to art school, Dad.
There's an interesting, and you, that's an interesting comparison. But well, like, so Lance, you're the only person, at least unless Barry surprises us with some background that I don't know about. You're the only person here of the four of us that I know that's played like relatively elite. I mean, not like,
I played against NHLers and MISLers.
Right.
Like, I used to play against Portland Timber players when I was here after college.
So, I mean, and like these guys are next level and they play at a level that maybe say a more amateur person or less accomplished person is playing at, like, only at your very best, right? And you hit that flow point, and athletes talk about that. I'm sure, Barry, when you work from 6 a.m., creating till midnight, and you're in that flow for 18 hours or
that's
20.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you hit it,
Yep.
and there's an art, like there's a sweet spot. There's a flow that we all reach, and I know we get it.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
And somehow people can appreciate that if they take the time to watch.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about the Olympics. That's something that brings people together from all over the world. It crosses political boundaries, religious boundaries, all that stuff. So yeah.
Okay. I get it. Man.
Dare I ask where do we draw that line? I mean, design is art, right? Like every object in our world is art in some degree because it's designed with purpose. Where do you draw the line, Barry?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. That's actually the meaning of pop art. The idea behind pop art is that everything is art, and it's a subjective thing. I don't know if everybody's going to agree with that, but yeah.
I'm going to say mortgages are not art, so there must be something. There's got to be a line somewhere.
That's a whole nother, I mean, honestly, I've seen both Lance and Adrian. There is like an art to, the financial world. There's an art to putting together the solution that really works well. Tailored, everybody's needs are individual, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something there.
Well,
I don't know that
how about if we define it like this? The arts are something that you practice at, get really good at until it's inspiring.
Okay?
Oh,
I like
it's
that.
Inspiring to watch extreme athletes. It's inspiring to watch great artists, performers. I mean, that's how I define it.
Wow.
What do you guys think?
I love that. I might be an artist after all because I'm inspired. I mean, we're inspired to do this podcast, right? We're inspired to spread the knowledge and to do better. So
there you go.
What can you do?
I think what you're alluding to is that there's an ecocentricness to everybody's life, and you're an artist. So the way you see everything around you comes from that center point of being an artist. And so I don't know if I necessarily agree 100%. I don't disagree, but from your point of view, there's an artistry to everything layered over. As you look at your world, there's an artistry that I don't know if I could see unless I had a Captain Crunch decoder, is I see it from the financial world. That's what I kind of see. And what I'm learning is that's your point of view, and I won't ever take it away from you. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but I see why you see it that way. Well, I don't necessarily see it that way.
Okay,
I see it from a
I get it.
A more
just for clarity's sake,
side of things.
When I look out in the world, I don't see perfection and beauty everywhere. Come on, I'm just saying that when I think about the arts, and again including sports, back to the question, the arts are relevant because they bring people together. It's a universal.
Yes, absolutely. I see that. I see that.
Yeah. And there's an ability for all, Lance and Barry and Adrian, to inspire others at the top of our craft.
Absolutely.
Which is an interesting concept.
I mean, to me, that's
the way I look at it is if there's an accident, right? It's always amazing to me. 10 people can see the exact same accident, and you get 8 different stories of what happened on that accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this applies here is you can see 10 people can see my life, Rob's life, Barry's life, whatever, and you're going to get 8 different versions of what you're seeing.
Sure.
And I where I learned today based on this is that's an interesting parallel of how art feathers into everything around his world.
Interesting.
But yeah, like I said, I would have logistically a hard time explaining to my kid that poetry is the same as hockey, or
Yeah.
Well, that it's a cultural notion, Lance. If you break it down and explain to them that poetry and hockey is something that you practice at and get really good at. I mean, come on, that's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
same thing.
Okay, cool.
I love it. So, Barry, why are you doing a podcast today?
I think that a podcast is one of the best ways to enhance the online know, like, and trust factor. I'm sure you guys have heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the things that you can do, and we're becoming an online world. Of all the things that we can do, I think a podcast is really effective at that. A good podcast, people get to see you, they get to listen to you, it builds that know, like, and trust factor. That's why I think it's great.
Yeah. The interesting concept with the podcast is like, I get these new waves of change from like my kids. And Lance, you and I have had a lot of conversations because our kids are roughly the same age. Like when I grew up, I watched cartoons, right? Like in the morning, Saturday morning, get up, mom and dad are still sleeping, like that sort of thing, right? If you guys remember, I'll give a shameless Ramblin' Rod. Lance, I don't know that you saw that on the East Coast, but like it was kids watching, being interviewed and then watching cartoons. And like, that was like the highlight of the morning on Saturday. Well, my kids, there's 100 or thousands more cartoon options, and they watch YouTube videos. And most of it's like how to and like how the world works. And the other day I caught him watching a YouTube video on like how, like a farm that was shearing sheep. And he's watching a YouTube video.
Oh, I love that.
Like, I mean, it was kind of
It's
cool.
like the how it's made videos, right? I used to love those as a kid. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
And
I caught a video the other day of a guy up in some kind of I don't know what it was. He was flying and this eagle comes along. I mean, you could see down it. I had no idea how high up, but this eagle lands on his kite with him. I mean, it's just the coolest thing. Never seen anything like it. So,
and this concept with the podcast is, we have this opportunity to know, like, and trust each other because we actually have a platform of disseminating our ideas, these concepts, great debate. Some of my favorite ones are where we actually like, okay, do we agree with each other? Do we not? That's the point, is we can explore this stuff and you can see this stuff, listen to it, all that sort of thing. And there's a whole universe of information out there that we, a couple decades ago, 3 decades ago, 4 decades ago, like wasn't even, remember the Jetsons, life was supposed to be a certain thing. Well, we're living that compared to where we were 40 years ago. It just looks very different. Yeah. So I don't know, coming back to podcast thing, maybe I didn't make my point, but I probably didn't. Lance, did I wander a little bit?
New formats.
But man,
I'm not sure we're in Oregon anymore.
as long as we're in the universe. I mean, this podcast thing.
Let me throw out another interesting concept that kind of hit me the other day. A lot of people, when they hear their voice recorded for the first time, sure you guys can relate to this. You don't like it, right? You hear your voice for the first time. You see your voice on video, or you see yourself on video, and you're like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, right.
So And my point is, when you do a podcast, you actually get to know, like, and trust yourself, which is an amazing concept.
Okay. So that's a big why of why you're doing a podcast also, I'm
Well,
sure.
and I don't do it for that reason, but that's a what would you call it? A positive
fringe benefit.
A fringe benefit.
There we go. Yeah, that's a fun concept. And we can share this, and we've really enjoyed this. I do have to point out though, is the outfit, Barry, for our watchers, in addition to listeners, all I don't know, the dozens of you out there, because everybody listens. Man, Barry, you're looking sharp. So.
Yeah, no, seriously, I wear it so that I don't take myself too seriously. It's the fun factor. No kidding.
Awesome.
It's so over the top.
That wraps up number 2 of 3 on the Get Rich Slow podcast interview with Barry Mack. We're going to have this as a series. Next episode, we're going to talk a bit about where Barry is headed in the future. Barry, where can we find you? You
can find me at barrymackart.com. Email me, barrymackart@gmail.com. My phone number, 971-348-1890, and C Gallery in the Bridgeport area.
Call Barry, guys. Just call him. He's super fun. There's so many stories that I wanted to cram into this podcast and this episode series too. At least.
But don't even think about calling me.
Yeah.
Something, okay.
Call Barry. Ask him about motorcycles. Ask him about the first piece of art he
bought. For me to sell you something.
Yeah. Well, I like that. Barry, you made this point. I'm going to ramble real quick, but people buy art not just because they like the picture or the painting or whatever it is, the piece, the sculpture. A big part of buying art is the connection that you make with the artist. You're going to look at that piece of art and go, I talked to the guy who did that. It's not just hanging and it's some ethereal idea of a human being. You're going to have conversations ideally with the artist. And that's a powerful thing, is that people who buy art from you get to talk to you and build a personal connection.
Yep. And you get to know what the art is about. My art is about freedom. It's about, having a great time and exploring all the things we talked about, living in flow, all that. That's what it's about. And if you get that, then looking at the art has a whole different meaning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Add Barry Mack on social media, get a taste of what his art is like, see if it's a good fit for you. Connect with Barry. As you said, barrymackart.com. I like that. Everything's nice and simple. It's the name. We are your Get Rich Slow podcast team. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you again next time, Barry.
It's been awesome, guys. Thank you.
Oh, and before I forget, we do have some events coming up. If you want to find out what's going on in the local area, you want to come and meet up with us, folks, roi-fa.com/events. We've got some learning grows, some wine. What are we calling it? Wine. I'm forgetting the title. Wine
Summer Bash.
Summer Bash. Sip and Mingle. I knew there was a fun name for it. Sip and Mingle. We got the Summer Bash coming up. A few of those in August, and then some photos with Santa in November.
Yep.
All right. That was a good one.
Thank you, guys.
We'll catch you next time, guys.